yard rushers. They couldn't do anything in the red zone. They did not finish off drives, but I think they showed they could move the ball on the ground, and I think that was encouraging moving forward, and I think that's going to be a cornerstone of the game plan against Jacksonville today. They got to get Tannehill going.
Yes.
I think you're going to see the short passing game early on to get Tannehill in rhythm, and we'll see. I mean, the Titans are a determined group.
They really
Jacksonville is in total disarray right now with all the stuff with Urban Meyer, players not being happy. It'll be interesting to see how it manifests itself on the field. But right now, the Titans, in my opinion, are catching the Jags at a good time.
You know, Mark, that you make a good point because you have two teams that are going through adversity. You got the Titans that are dealing with injuries, dealing with turnovers and all that stuff. But then you have a Jacksonville Jaguar team that's going through so much turmoil. You got Robinson, situation with the running back. You got Urban Meyer. You got a team that's dysfunctional. But even though the adversity with both teams, look at the mature team is the Tennessee Titans. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the team that's just in a total mess.
Yeah, Titans played a team in a total mess 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, and they got their rear ends kicked at home by the Texans. The thing about the Titans is, and this has been a hallmark of Vrabel, they can beat anybody. You have the Titans as an underdog by 6 or more points, Titans might win that game. They can lose to anybody too. If this were 4 weeks ago, I'd have told you I felt good about their chances of beating the Jags. Right now, I'm not ready to sit there and just say that the Jags are going to lay down today. I know Mark brought up the turmoil that NFL Network was reporting yesterday, which I'm sure is probably true. But I've also seen teams that rally around stuff like that. Like, the media doesn't know. We'll go out there and show them and whatever. And I look at this Titan team and I'm like, hey, Ian Rappaport reported today. Now, again, I don't think Ian Rappaport's a very good reporter. I think his sources are questionable. But Ian Rappaport reported today that Derrick Henry should be back by the last week of the season.
Stop it.
Which would line up with the timeline of when you'd actually be able to know something, because it's been about 6 weeks since he had the surgery. And, all the medical experts say you won't know for at least 6 weeks until they take a scan of the foot. So there's an estimation that there is a report out there that Derrick is coming back at the end of the season. Well, now the question is, what can the Titans do to get them in position that they need to be so that when Derrick Henry comes back, they have a shot to do something in the playoffs? And you got to beat Jacksonville. You got to beat the Texans at the end of the year. You got to beat the 49ers. You got to beat the Dolphins, because you can't just throw this season away due to injuries and not showing up against bad teams. You gave yourself too good of a chance. Derrick Henry, when he comes back, he is too good of a player that for the Titans to throw this season away. They got to win today.
Well, I also think when Derrick Henry comes back, I think he's going to be they're going to ease him in. You're not going to see him carry the ball 25 times the first time he comes back.
Even if it's a playoff game?
I don't know. I think that they're going to measure that by how they feel like he looks. But, it's a big man coming off a foot injury.
Yes.
And that often, to me, even when he comes back, I still think there's recovery time after that. And, you wonder sometimes if they're pushing it.
Yeah, I just think that the Tennessee Titans need to play good football now in spite Derrick Henry. Step up. But overall, on the offense, Tannehill needs to step up. The receiving core needs to get better. Instead of just catching 2 passes for 25 yards, they need to get some explosive plays. I understand that Julio Jones is coming back, which is great, but we don't really know his role. But at this time in December, the team that's going to go to the Super Bowl is the team that is playing good football. And I don't think the Tennessee Titans are playing good football right now. But just like what Mike Vrabel says, I know he is a stickler on technique and everything and all that stuff, but he's going to have his team ready to play this football game, I guarantee you.
My thing with the Titans is, they can't give this one away today.
Absolutely.
And I'm not trying to sit there and say, to me, this is going to sound crazy, but I agree with you, Chris. The team that plays better football down the stretch throughout the course of the year and gets better from November to December on usually is a team that is competing for the Super Bowl. Very rarely do you see the hot team from September that cooled off in December that ends up having a run in January. You almost never see that. For me, I'm with you. They got to stop turning the ball over. Tannehill's got to stop playing like a C-level, D-level quarterback. But they just got to find a way to win this game. And I know that they should win this game because Jacksonville's awful and they're going through this. I just don't trust the Titans at all when it comes to games like this that they should win. And I don't know how, as a fan, you could trust this team right now.
Well, but I think if you look historically, the Titans have lost to bad teams after they've beaten good teams. Mm-hmm. The Titans have lost 2 in a row. I think they're going to be focused today. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think they're going to win, and I think they'll probably win handily. But I don't think focus is going to be an issue like it has, with the Jets game, with the Texans game. I don't think they're going to suffer that pitfall like those 2 previous losses.
The only thing that scares me is the last time they played them, if it wasn't by 2 bad calls by the ref, that game might have been a little different. And they were in that game. I think it was a scoop and score by Byard, and then I think it was Lawrence that didn't make it to the end zone. He was a yard short, and they stopped him on 4th down.
Yeah.
Those were 2 huge plays that the Jacksonville Jaguars could have capitalized on. So, in my opinion, I agree with you, Jared. It's not going to be a game to where the Tennessee Titans are going to just blow them out. It's going to be a game that's going to be closer than what we think.
Well, and I'll do you one further. I talked about this on the radio on Friday. Mike Vrabel did his press conference on Friday, and he was asked a question about Zach Cunningham, who they claimed over the weekend. And Vrabel was like, plenty of time to talk about Zach next week. Then he was asked another question about Cunningham, and he said, he's not going to play this week. I'll have plenty of time to ask next week. Right. Then he was asked a third question about Cunningham, and he stormed off and kind of threw a fit. And I said this, I go, you know what? I think the reason Vrabel did that. Now, I don't think this was like premeditated. I'm going to show them, baseball manager throws the bats kind of thing. I think Vrabel is so worked up this week, making sure that everybody in the building is focused on Jacksonville because he's so tired of losing to the Texans and the Jets too. And he knows how big this game is. And if the Titans lose this game, I don't know. If the Titans lose this game, now Indianapolis now becomes a factor in the division, which is embarrassing if after all the weight that you put on them for you to be in that kind of mix, that becomes an issue. You're probably staring down, Buffalo coming in here for the first round of the playoffs, then having to go to New England and then go to Kansas City. And I don't think you can get to the Super Bowl doing that. And not only that, if they lose this game today, then I think everybody in town, which I think they kind of already are, but there's going to be even more questions about Tannehill. So, I mean, to me, the Titans got to find a way to win this game. I think Vrabel is scared to death of this game today. And not scared of Jacksonville, but scared of his own team.
I agree with you to a degree. And I definitely think that, picking up Zach Cunningham I thought was great. As soon as it happened, I'm thinking, would the Titans pick him, have a chance to pick him up because he's exactly what they need. It's a guy that can plug in and play at inside linebacker. Mike
Vrabel doesn't want you talking about Zach Cunningham today. He wants you to wait until next week.
I understand that.
Talk about Zach Cunningham.
But whatever the case, they're going to take on some pretty good tight ends. The rest of the schedule, George Kittle among them. But the other part of this is, I think if you look at the schedule, they've got to at least win 3 games. They've got to get to 11. 11, gets them a home game in the playoffs. I believe, but yeah, you're right, Jared. If they lose today, it would be pretty catastrophic. Especially with the Colts breathing down their necks now, and the Colts really, playing really well. So yeah, absolutely, the consequences of losing today would not be good.
Yeah, I don't think that he's really upset about just losing, but how they are losing. I mean, look at the turnovers. I mean, when you have Tannehill throwing 4 interceptions against the Texans, and then you come back against the Patriots and you throw another interceptions. It's how they're losing. They're not executing. And then there's one play that really made him mad when they played against the Patriots, where Bourne catches like a 5-yard crossing route, and the defense is not hustling.
Oh, my God.
Now, as a coach, we understand you may miss a tackle here and there, but if you're going full speed, I can take that. But if a guy catches a 5-yard shallow route and you have 6 or 7 guys around and you can't tackle him, that's where a coach gets upset, and that's why it's like, what the heck are we doing?
Mark alluded to this. NFL Network reported yesterday that the Urban Meyer completely foreseeable, unmitigated disaster is rolling its course through Jacksonville. We all know about what happened at the beginning of the season before they played the Titans the first time. This time there's reports from NFL Network that players are upset all up and down the roster, including Trevor Lawrence, who questioned James Robinson's playing time last week, which was amazing, right? Yeah. A rookie quarterback's going to get up there at the podium and talk about playing time for another player? Oh, my God. Could you imagine doing that? Could you imagine Mac Jones getting up at the podium and saying, yeah, I think we should play DeMondre Stevenson over Damian Harris?
I just think he saw something that wasn't right.
No, I know, but that's where Jacksonville is right now. What do we make of the turmoil in Jacksonville and the Urban Meyer drama part 1, part 2?
Well, you keep hearing that the losses just are making him crazy. And that started in the preseason where he'd get upset, after losing a preseason game. I just think sometimes, with a college approach, guys don't like it. I think, some of the stuff that he did earlier this season, I think is still reverberating through the locker room. And he's lost some credibility with his team. I mean, we'll see. I mean, Shad Khan, the owner, said he's coming back next year because I think Shad Khan doesn't want to admit he made a mistake. And you're probably going to see Meyer shake up his staff. One coach already bailed on him, so you can imagine, what's going on there. But, it doesn't seem very good.
It's just a sad situation. And listen, when I say this about a coach, and I respect every coach, I respect Urban Meyer, but I don't like when he says things like this. He calls his assistant coaches losers. I mean, why would you want to work for a guy to where you're pouring your heart out to your team, you're giving everything you got to try to win ball games, and you call your assistants losers? Come on, man. I let a lot of things slide, and I try to hold my tongue a little bit, and I'll never disrespect the coach. But when you call your guys that are working hard, that are staying up late nights, being away from their families, and you call them jokers losers, I will not be in the same room with you if you're disrespecting me, if I'm giving my whole heart to this team.
You know what gets me?
What's that?
Like, didn't we all see this coming when Urban got hired? Like, I remember when they hired him, and I was like, as a Titan fan, I was like, yes. And people were like, Mark, and people were like, hey, Urban's a great coach. Urban's a good football mind. And I'm like, no, Urban is like the biggest hands-on jerk in college football, but that works in college. You can't go to the NFL and start treating guys like that. And that's what Urban Meyer's done. And that's, I mean, I thought, because when they hired Urban, there was like this whole thing of, if Urban understands the NFL's different, which Steve Spurrier didn't, but if Urban can understand the NFL's different, then Urban's got a shot. And so I figured at least Urban be smart enough to know, hey, you can't do this like Ohio State. Nope.
Yeah, I thought when Urban went to Jacksonville, I thought he was the best college coach, not named Nick Saban, first of all. Right. And I think we all wondered if how he was going to adjust to the NFL. And as soon as he signed Tim Tebow, I'm thinking it's not going to work there.
Yep.
The Tebow signing was so ridiculous, and even he had to admit that Tebow couldn't play anymore. Which is not, a knock on Tebow, but that signing was preposterous, and the players just absolutely hated it.
Chris, how many years have you spent in football between playing high school, college, the NFL, and then coaching high school?
How long was it? The time span was, I can't count that long.
Have you ever seen the head coach not fly home with the team?
No, that's. Listen to me. You know what's so funny, man, is with great power comes great responsibility. You have a responsibility to lead. If you're expecting your guys to be a part of something special, being a part of a family, being part of something that you grow together and do, but all of a sudden you do something totally different, this doesn't work. Okay, hey, guys, go home. You guys do what you do. I'm going to stay here. After a big-time loss, come on, man, you got to be there as your head coach to say, you know what, I'm with you through thick and thin. I'm not with you just because if we win the game. Come on, man. Why you getting me all mad on this doggone show?
I don't know. Coming up next, we'll move the chains with TriStar Moving. We'll do that. We'll take a look at the 4 biggest topics of today's game. We'll do that next. We're live from Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tab House in East Nashville. It's the pregame show on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in to Robbie and Rex Road all week long for your chance to win tickets to the 2022 Navy Federal Credit Union Stadium Series game at Nissan Stadium between the Nashville Predators and Tampa Bay Lightning. Be listening for your cue to call during the 7 a.m. hour each morning with Robbie and Rex Road on Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The NFL playoffs are almost here, and to help you stay on top of the action, FanDuel Sportsbook is giving you a $10 bonus when you place $20 in same-game parlay bets. Joe Rexer here to let you know. All you have to do is bet on a single game or spread your bets out across multiple matchups, whatever you want to do. As long as you bet $20 in same-game parlays during the same week of NFL action, you're getting also a $10 bonus. Tons of great opportunities there. Lots of things you can do, of course, with a same-game parlay on America's #1 sportsbook, which is easy. Trust me on that. It's safe. You get paid in as little as 2 hours. Same-game parlay bonus is live during weeks 13, 14, and 15. So lock in some winners today. Enjoy a $10 bonus on FanDuel. And if you're new, sign up using promo code Joe102. You get 30-1 odds on either team to win in the Browns-Ravens AFC North matchup. You can win $150 on a $5 bet. That's promo code Joe102 exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued now with reliable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max bonus $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789.
If you missed the latest from Darren, Donick, and Chase.
Okay, is it the Saints?
Chase, we've already named him. That was it.
Oh, that was it? That was it.
Seahawks
Chase
twice.
is still going.
Yeah, Chase is still trying to come up with another one. Yeah, you're not going to come up with it because that's it.
It's over. Chase, it's over.
It's over. The game is over.
Go home.
Oh, sorry.
Seahawks twice, Patriots, Giants, Titans.
Oh, okay. I missed the Giants. Sorry. I was too busy concentrating
Racking his
to try and
Racking
figure
his
it
brain.
out. And asking Elijah, do you think it's the same?
Did this happen to you at FRA, Chase, where the teachers said,
All the damn time.
I think it'll be a great trivia question someday.
Was it the Dolphins?
Chase, the test is over. The bell rung. I need your test.
Hey,
if you
everyone
don't know it by now,
is
you're not
left.
going to know it.
Chase, if you notice, the room is empty. Everybody else left. The test is, we're done. We're done.
Tune in Darren, Donick, and Chase. Weekdays 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved today at rotary.org/action.
Alabama versus Cincinnati.
Taylor, touchdown Cincinnati.
Michigan versus Georgia.
To the end zone, Kearis Jackson has got it.
Your exclusive home for the college football playoff semifinals on New Year's Eve is
ESPN
102.5 The Game, 94.9, and the Game Nashville app. Brought to you locally by 312 Pizza Company in Shermantown.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Titans and Jags, we're live at Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville on the pregame show. It's time now to move the chains thanks to TriStar Moving. TriStar Movers with 5-star service. We start, of course, with first down.
First down.
Ryan Tannehill has been terrible so far this season, at least for the last stretch for the Tennessee Titans, and there is no more sugarcoating it. It may be somebody else's fault on one interception or another or this or that. Not even 100 yards against the Patriots for Tannehill, though I believe that was within the game plan, and that game plan was the right game plan that the Titans operated under. But the truth is, Ryan Tannehill will even tell you he does not look like the same player that he was for the first 2 years with the Titans. Mark Howard, what do the Titans do about Tannehill, and what's wrong with Tannehill?
Well, first of all, Derrick Henry being hurt, I think, has had a huge impact on Tannehill. Tannehill is at his best with play action, with the running threat like Derrick Henry, and that really hasn't been the case since Henry got hurt. I also think that, sometimes quarterbacks get in slumps. We've seen that with Mahomes. We're seeing it with Josh Allen. I mean, they're good quarterbacks go through bad stretches. But I do think that they're going to try, at least to get him going again today with the short passing game. And I think that, once Tannehill gets in rhythm, he can have a really good day. And I think he's going to play a lot better today. And my prediction is, he's going to put up some decent numbers today.
Yeah, I just think he's not playing with a lot of confidence right now. And the reason why I say that, just watching the film and just looking at what he does, he looks uneasy in the pocket. When I say he's uneasy in the pocket, he's quickly to get off his spot. And maybe that's offensive line. Maybe it's the receivers not getting open. Maybe that's contributing to what it is. But at the end of the day, when you look at a confident quarterback, he's looking at his first, his second, and his third read, and he's going to make the right play at the right time. But if you look at the last 2 weeks, Tannehill hasn't been making the right plays. He's been throwing interceptions, hasn't protected the football. He's not going through his read. He's staring down the receivers, just like when they played against the Texans. He was staring down Brown, and the linebacker made the interception. So if he gets past that, protects the football, and just be confident in his reads, I think he can be successful.
It's funny, guys, because 2 years ago, the Titans got to the playoffs with no kicking game. Last year, they got to the playoffs with no pass rush. And this year, they'll probably get to the playoffs with, very mediocre quarterback play. It's really strange that there is one, glaring weakness on this team every year. And we'll see if maybe Tannehill can change that.
Do you think he's taking too many shots, Jared? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes a lot of quarterbacks are afraid to look at their second and third reads because they're getting hit too much. Do you think he's getting hit too much?
I think my biggest issue with Tannehill is that I feel like he just doesn't see linebackers anymore, and I don't know why that is. You may be right. He may be staring down one receiver.
That's what he's doing.
And so when you stare down that receiver, you don't see the linebacker there. But, I mean, it's at least once a game that he throws a pass that you look at what I call a Vince Young pass, where when you see the replay, you wonder at what point did he think that was a good idea. Tannehill has been doing that. And what got Tannehill this job was not turning over the football. It wasn't like Tannehill went out there and threw for 400 yards, so they gave him $30 million. He didn't turn over the football. And we said that's good for the Titans. And now it's not good for the Titans. That takes us to second down. Julio Jones will make his return to the lineup. Chris Sanders.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people really wanted Julio this offseason.
You
and I. No, we did not.
Absolutely.
You and I wanted no part of the Julio Jones business. And so far, once again, Chris Sanders, we have been correct. Julio Jones, 21 catches, 336 yards, and no touchdowns so far this season. Has not played since the Sunday night game at Los Angeles. What do we think of Julio Jones' return to the lineup today?
First of all, I want to say he's a great player, Hall of Fame player. I think he's going to.
He was a great player.
Correct. He was a great player. Goodness gracious, he was a good player. But I just think that when you're older and you get hurt, it's kind of hard to come back from injuries. And everybody talks about, well, just put him in the game. You can't put him in the game if you have a high hamstring pull. I mean, you just can't, because that's where his explosiveness comes. So if he can get past that and withstand the pain and go in there and make some plays, I mean, I think he can be successful. But it's all going to go back to Todd Downing. How is he going to use him? Is he going to have him run post to take the top off the defense? What, is he going to give him quick screens and let him run after the catch? Because if you look at him, I was watching him some videos in practice. He's still dragging that leg. And when you're a receiver and you're dragging the leg, you can't have your explosiveness to come out the route. So it all goes back to what Todd Downing is going to do to use him in his offense.
I think one of the things that Vrabel does really well is load management. And that is, when players, especially veteran players, when they're hurt, bringing them back in. I think we'll see Julio today, but I think he'll be on a pitch count. He's not going to play a ton of snaps. I think he's going to be a situational player today, but he'll be on the field. But I don't think you're going to see him every down.
I mean, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, how would you line him up at wide receiver then?
I mean, what I'll do is I'll go like a 3-by-1 and let him be out there. And if the defensive back is off, when I say off coverage, just throwing the ball and let him get about 6 or 7 yards and let him maybe break a tackle and score like that. Because if you put him in routes like where he's running the post and take the top off the defense, when I say take the top off the defense, it's getting behind the safety. that's going to be a risk of hurting that hamstring once again, because if you look, he can't get to the second, third gear like he did 6 and 7 years ago. So just get the ball in his hands. He's good at run off yards after the catch. He's still physical. He still can give a stiff arm. So put the ball in his hands really, really quick to let him make plays.
That takes us to third down.
Third down.
The defense has actually held their own so far. Their stats going down a little bit, 22nd in the NFL in points allowed, though some of that is in large part because the offense keeps turning over the football. But the Titans defense once again will be without Bud Dupree, who's on IR. They'll be without David Long Jr., who has not played since that Rams game when the defense was playing at its best. What do we think of the defense the last couple of weeks? New England kind of played okay, not great. Injuries on the defense, not a lot of a pass rush on Mac Jones. Did not play up to their standard against the Texans. Mark Howard, what do we think of that defense?
Well, Harold Landry is hampered a little bit with a hamstring, but even without Dupree, at least for a while, you saw Jeffrey Simmons and Danico Autry, getting to the quarterback. They didn't do that last week, against Mac Jones in New England. So they've got to do a better job of that. Today, I think they will.
Just looking at the defense, looking back when they started, they were creating turnovers. I mean, when you get creating turnovers, then that's really going to help your offense. If you look at when they played against the Rams, they had 2 picks, one by Byard and one by David Long Jr. And then when they played the Jags, the first time they played the Jags, they had a scoop and score by Byard, and then he had another interception, later on in the game. So if the Tennessee Titans can start creating turnovers, I think it keeps, even if the offense is playing terrible, it still keeps the Tennessee Titans in the game. So, they just got to get back to getting turnovers.
And that takes us to our fourth and final down.
Fourth down.
Randy Bullock has been a model of consistency this year in the kicking game. Doink and doink at New England, missing a chip shot field goal and an extra point. Chris Sanders,
Yes.
Are we concerned about the kicking game once again?
No, I'm really not. I mean, that's just 3 that he missed horribly. I think the one with the Jets. But when you're talking about overall special teams, the one thing I'm concerned about is punt return. I mean, what do we yell when the ball is in the vicinity of the return? What do we yell? Come on, football guy. Peter. Come on. Peter.
Not Oski.
Not Oski. See, he knows you don't know football, but you got to be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But we got to be sound on special teams because you can't have those mishaps. You can't have missed field goals. You can't have missed extra points. You can't have the ball hitting the returner. It just keeps those teams in the games that you're supposed to be. So they got to be sound. Bullock has to be better. You can't miss a chip shot. You can't miss a field goal. Those are gimmies that you have to make.
Well, there's a reason Randy Bullock was on the street when the Titans picked him up.
Jeez.
And, he has, times of inconsistency. And, we're going to see today. And you just hope he doesn't have the yips because he was really terrific, when he first got here. So, Gostkowski went through that last year and he righted the ship. So, we'll see what happens this week.
But then also, too, man, in New England, it's hard to kick. I mean, you look at last week when who was the New England Patriots playing last week?
That game was in Buffalo.
Never mind. Forget my point there.
But I will say this, speaking of the street, I wonder how long, guys not getting lined up on a punt,
That's what I'm talking
against
about.
the Patriots,
Absolutely.
a guy getting hit with the football, guy missing field goals.
Can't do it.
I wonder how long until Craig Ockerman, the special teams coach, ends up on the street.
You don't like him.
I
You do
can't
not.
stand it.
Why?
Because the special teams have sucked for 4 years, and they don't ever do anything about it. Drives me insane.
You don't like his name, do you? Say his
Drives
name.
me insane. Ackerman. Drives me insane. Coming up next, we'll take a look at the Titans offense. What do they have to do against the Jags? We'll go inside the playbook. We're live at Boomba's Craft Pizza and Tap House. It's the pregame show on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Coming up next hour on NFL Pregame, Jared, Chris, and Mark go inside the playbook, inside the sportsbook, and get an update from the stadium with ESPN's Teron Davenport. It's NFL Pregame on Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Victory Award-winning New Amsterdam Vodka knows all about it. But in life, it's not always so clear. So New Amsterdam Vodka believes that in life, you've got to find your own wins. You've got to overcome your fears, go all in, even when you've got nothing at all. Find your wins. And when you do, raise that glass of New Amsterdam vodka in victory. You've earned it. New Amsterdam Spirits Company, Modesto, California.
Do you have a VA home loan? Don't let the year end without snagging what might be the best rate of your lifetime. Hey, Willie Donick here. Call my friends at Loan Pronto now. They specialize in a VA streamlined loan. You can get a lower rate with no appraisal, no income documentation, and no cash due at signing. Loan Pronto can even cover veterans' closing costs. So call Loan Pronto. Ask about the streamlined loan now. And with sky-high home values, Loan Pronto is also helping veterans get cash out of their home's equity for paying off credit cards, for home improvements like pools and new kitchens. Ask about their refi programs that let veterans access 100% of their home's value. VA loans made easy and fast with Loan Pronto. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans eligible for zero-cost refi.
If you missed the latest edition of the Preds official podcast.
To you, Crispy, rate out of 10. What is the degree of difficulty that Granlund and Forsberg pulled off with that game winner?
9 out of 10, maybe even 10 out of 10, because they were all back. All three of those guys, the other team, Montreal, was back in position. And the only good thing was the third guy that should have had Forsberg sort of straight a little, thinking that Granlund might attack the net from that side. And the two things about it is when Forsberg got his stick, he realized that his partner had the puck, and he stayed in his favorite spot, stayed open, stayed loose. But the biggest thing you're talking about, the degree of difficulty, was if Brandon throws that puck, and if it's 3 inches off either way, whether towards the skates of Forsberg or he has to reach for it, goaltender is back in face and time.
Search Preds official podcast today on your favorite podcast platform. The newest edition releases every Saturday at 8 on ESPN 1025 The Game and NashvillePredators.com. Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
1025 The Game. What are the keys to victory on the offensive side of the ball for the two-tone blue? Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard go inside the playbook. Brought to you by E2 Roofing. This is the NFL pregame on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Inside the Playbook is presented by E2 Roofing. Trust the roofers with integrity. E2 Roofing, a veteran-owned and operated local Nashville roofer. Chris Sanders, the Titans ran the football effectively all over the New England Patriots. 270 yards of rushing offense. And not only that, but Bill Belichick knew what they were trying to do.
Absolutely.
And they still ran the ball effectively. Unfortunately, Dontrell Hilliard fumbling for the second game in a row, and Deontay Foreman with an absolutely critical fumble. Ryan Tannehill did actually play a safe game against the Patriots a week ago following his 4 interceptions. He did have 1 interception, but it was a 4th down at the goal line kind of play. What do you think the game plan is today against the Jacksonville Jags?
I mean, you just said it. They have to run the football. If you look at the first time the Tennessee Titans played them this year, Henry was 30 for 159, and that just set the tone of the game. I think Foreman and Hilliard has to be big today. And the reason why I say they got to be big, because if they establish the run early and Hilliard has a big run here and Foreman has a big run there, it just opens up the pass game. Now we're talking about Julio. Now we're talking about Westbrook. Now we're talking about Fitzpatrick that can be involved in the game, because if we don't set the tone and set the run, I mean, it's just going to sit there and just make plays on us all day long.
You know, it's incomprehensible to me that a team would have 2 running backs over 100 yards and not win, and not win by a pretty sizable margin. You look at that stat, and usually a team with 2 100-yard rushers wins the game. So I think last week gave them the confidence that they can run the football, that they can make some hay on the ground, and I think that's going to help Tannehill. And, again, I think you're going to see him, with the short passing game, going to his tight ends, whether it's Swaim or Ferkser, and, of course, Westbrook, Akeen, and Chester Rogers, and hopefully Julio Jones. But I think the Titans' game plan is, once again, getting Tannehill engaged early, and they feel like that will bode well for them the rest of the way.
What makes you think that's the game plan?
That's all they got.
Well, I mean, that wasn't like against the Patriots. They were just run, run, run. And I don't see why. We'll get into the Jags defense on the other side, but like Trevor Lawrence doesn't pose right now that big of a threat.
Right.
And I don't know why run 3 times and punt wouldn't be a solid plan today. I mean, you would hope that you run 3 times and you pick it up a lot and you keep running and running and running. But, I mean, I get, like, it's different against the Patriots than it is the Jags.
Right.
I much prefer punting against the Patriots than I do Jacksonville. But I still don't see this idea of, like, get Tannehill going early. Because the way I look at that could be get Tannehill going early. He throws a ball to the other team, just like the Texan game. Now you got a ball game on your hands.
I would just take the ball out of his hands. And the reason why I say that is because right now, your general is not playing like a general. I mean, just put the ball in Hilliard's hands. I understand, and I agree with you a little bit too, Jared, is a punt. A punt is okay because now you get Kern, he puts it at the -2, and all of a sudden you get a safety. It just changes the momentum of the game. So I just want to put the ball in Tannehill's hands.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, Chris and Jared, if the Titans simplify Tannehill's reads today.
That's a great point.
To maybe cut down on bad decisions. I just think they feel like, again, that he's in a slump, that he's not, reverting back to, bad days in Miami, which weren't really as bad as everybody thought. There were mitigating circumstances. So, again, your quarterback misses his running back, and it'll be interesting if they can unlock the Tannehill that we're used to, and hopefully that starts today.
And he's frustrated. I mean, just watching. I heard you say this on the radio the other day, and I watched it too. When you watch his press conference, watch his body language. His body language is not that he's mad at anybody else or mad at the receiver or mad at the offensive line. He's mad at his performance because he knows that he can play better, and he's just not doing that right now. And he's just basically in the funk. But the way you get out of a funk is – this is just my opinion. I mean, I'm just going to throw this out there. But on the first play of the game, throw like maybe a 70-yard bomb. Just try it.
To who?
Somebody. I don't know.
Who can run?
I don't know, but I don't know. But just do something to gain his confidence. Or if it's like a 20-yard dig, Julio catches it and goes into the end zone. Something to build his confidence.
It's going to be interesting today to see how much Golden Tate is a part of things. He's
Golden
going to be
Tate has not been elevated from the practice squad.
Oh, he has?
I thought he was elevated.
No. Second week in a row that the Titans are leaving Golden Tate on the practice squad.
Jeez.
So no Golden Tate today. Cody Hollister is getting the call up as a standard elevation from the practice squad.
Interesting.
Which is funny because somebody, called into the radio show this week and said, well, if Golden Tate can't play over Cody Hollister, then he can't play in the NFL. And I actually think the Titans really trust Cody Hollister.
Yeah, because he's in the right spot, and he's a tough kid. That's going to make.
And he's been around
100%.
During training camp, he was in the mix with Nick Westbrook-Akina and Chester Rogers and Marcus Johnson and all those guys So, I mean, I watched Cody Hollister catch a pass. I thought he broke his ankle during training camp, and he went on IR or whatever. I thought Cody Hollister played okay against the Patriots.
And he knows the offense.
And he's been here for a while, and he's been with Tannehill. And one big question I have, we wondered this at the end of the Rams game. When Deontay Foreman looked like he was running the football the best of the 3 running backs the Titans had at the time, and they chose to give the ball to Adrian Peterson. And I wondered if that was because they were worried about Foreman fumbling the ball. We saw how Foreman carried the ball on Sunday against the Patriots. Hilliard has fumbled in 2 straight games. Chris, you know about ball security because I'm sure you got your rear end screamed at over ball security at times. What do you make of how these running backs are protecting the football?
It's not good. I mean, when you it just overshadows your performance. I mean, they had, Hilliard had 131, Foreman had 109 yards. But we didn't talk about that. We talked about the 3 fumbles that they had between each other. You had Blasingame have a fumble. It just takes the momentum.
How much did the Foreman fumble kill you with how it happened?
I mean, regardless, it doesn't really matter how it happens. It's just that, man.
But he was just leaving it out there, didn't switch it over to the other arm, and it just like.
Yeah, but sometimes when you're running it, you're not thinking. I mean, but it's his job to think. You know what I'm saying? It's his job to think. But, it doesn't matter if you have 265,000 yards in the game. When you're fumbling the ball, A quarterback is not going to trust you. Your offensive coordinator is going to touch you. You may have the greatest ability in the world, but if you leave the ball on the turf, man, it's going to get you on the bench.
I think the turnovers are making Vrabel nuts.
Mad.
I think every time Foreman runs the ball, and even Hilliard today, Vrabel's going to hold his breath. Just hope that they don't have a crushing turnover like they did against the Patriots. And, that really, really hurt them last week or 2 weeks ago. You just don't want to see that.
Can I tell you what really hurt me last week against the Patriots that I want to get out here while we're inside the playbook? 4th and goal from the 2. The Titans are averaging 7 yards a crack on New England. And not only that, they're running the ball all over New England when New England knows they're trying to run it. And New England's got a great secondary that's incredibly well coached. And Todd Downing calls this rollout with Tannehill for Cody Hollister when they had been running the ball effectively. Even a designed run for Tannehill, I would have preferred than what they ended up calling there around the goal line. I know that getting on play calling is the easiest and laziest thing to do in all of talk radio. But that one drove me crazy.
And we've been talking about Tannehill, and the fact is with the Titans today, can they produce some chunk plays? 25 yards or more. We have not seen that enough over the past few weeks. It's dropped precipitously, for Tannehill than last year, and it's noticeable. It's one of the lowest numbers in the league. And, can the Titans come up with some big plays on offense? We haven't seen that in the last 3 or 4 games.
I think the one guy that can, and we kind of saw a little bit in the Patriots, is Hilliard. Hilliard brings some explosiveness. He ran by the secondary, when he got to the second level. So, he's one of those guys that can give those explosive plays that you're talking about.
Coming up next, we'll flip sides. The Titans defense against a struggling Jacksonville offense, plus some drama with the Jacksonville offense as well. We'll get to that coming up next. We're live from Boot Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville. It's the pregame show on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Someone said football, so I come running.
Can Mike Vrabel rally the troops for a much-needed victory?
Focusing on the Jaguars and focusing on our ability to try to improve.
Or will the number of injuries continue to plague the Titans against the Jags?
That is the million-dollar question.
Tune in all day Monday for full reaction to Titans-Jags. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Are you a father that is passionate about your fundamental constitutional right to parent your own child or children? Has your parenting time or your income been affected by COVID? This is Amanda J. Gentry, and I am a fierce defender of your constitutional rights. The courts in Tennessee are under an obligation to maximize equal parenting time. We do not live in an every other weekend world anymore. At the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, fathers are extremely important, much like my own father was. Go to AmandaJGentry.com or call or text 615-604-6263. That's AmandaJGentry.com.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
This week's Nashville's best deal is Seafood Sensation. Often imitated but never duplicated, Seafood Sensation is Nashville's original seafood restaurant. And right now, you can get half off a $30 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals. Enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes like their crab legs platter, grilled salmon, and more. Seafood Sensation, 2719 Jefferson Street near the TSU campus. Get half off a $30 gift card while they last at thegamenashville.com/deals.
If you missed the latest edition of the Preds official podcast,
he is the Predators defense development coach, Rob Scuderi, kind enough to join us. We could kind of surmise what you do based on your title, but how do you describe what you do?
I guess essentially to kind of the go-between between when a guy is drafted and when he becomes a pro, when he actually signs a contract. I'm trying to maybe just close the gap for a guy, because when you do sign and when you do step into that first day in a professional locker room, it's a bit of a head-turning experience. and it's not that it can't be made without me. I don't have that type of ego, but there are some things that as you watch a guy play as an amateur, you can start to just prepare them for what they're going to face as a pro.
Search Pred's official podcast today on your favorite podcast platform. The newest edition releases every Saturday at 8 on ESPN 102.5 The Game and NashvillePredators.com. Later today, it's our NFL Game of the Week. Brought to you by Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. Playoff hopefuls clash.
Burrow dives, touchdown!
When the Cincinnati Bengals host the 49ers.
Garoppolo throws, touchdown!
Coverage begins at 3
on ESPN
94.9. What are the keys to victory on the defensive side of the ball for the two-tone blue? Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard go inside the playbook. Brought to you by E2 Roofing. This is the NFL Pregame on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Inside the Playbook, presented by E2 Roofing. Trust the roofers with integrity. E2 Roofing, a veteran-owned and operated local Nashville roofer, live at Boomboss Craft Pizza and Tap House, where they have brought out the big, fat chicken wings out here for us as we get you game day set. The Jacksonville Jaguars on offense are 25th in the league in total offense. They are 31st in points, so not dead last, but almost dead last in points. They have not won a game since they beat Buffalo on November 7th, in which they scored 9 total points in that game. Trevor Lawrence has been struggling so far on the season. 9 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and they are 2-10. Chris Sanders, the Titans defense has not looked like the Titans defense since David Long and Bud Dupree have departed with injuries, but they should be able to hold their own against the Jags today.
I mean, the Jaguars' offense, even though you gave a lot of numbers, they're not bad. They still have some explosive plays. They got Robinson, the running back. They got Jones, Chenault Jr., the wide receivers that can beat you at any position. I just think the key to the whole game is making sure they keep Trevor Lawrence in the pocket, because everybody knows that when he sits in the pocket, that's where he throws the interceptions. He has 10. But the one thing that he can do is he can beat you with his legs. And if the Tennessee Titans go man-to-man coverage and they don't pay attention to actually what's going on, then now he gets those 15, 16-yard run to keep those chains moving. That's where he can be dangerous, even if their offense is struggling.
I agree with you. It's kind of crazy. Lawrence has been sacked 22 times. Tannehill 33, by the way. So they've protected him at least, decently. For some reason, James Robinson is not as much a part of the running game that Carlos Hyde, is getting a lot of carries from Ohio State. Gee, what a shock. If the Titans stop the Jags on the ground, Jags had a lot of success, remember, in that first game on the ground against the Titans. They've got to do better. His receivers are decent. Dan Arnold is one of his big targets. A tight end, they got in a trade. And Laviska Shenault from Colorado. And Marvin Jones, who's having a good year. But they are, I wouldn't call them exactly dangerous. So we'll see how the Titans cover today.
Yeah, and they have some potential. And I agree with you 100%, Mark. But the one thing that scares me is if we go 1-1 in the secondary, that's where it's kind of dangerous. I don't know who's actually going to be in the secondary for the Tennessee Titans, but, we got to put pressure on Lawrence so he can make those interceptions so those wide receivers can't get open. So it's all going to be moving down to what Shane Bowen does.
So one thing that kind of gets me is Bud Dupree went out of the first play of the Texans game. So he played in the Rams game, didn't play in the Texans game, didn't play in the Patriots game. Last year, the Pittsburgh Steelers were 11-0 when Bud Dupree played. Jeez. They were 1-5 when Bud Dupree didn't. Bud Dupree comes back off the knee injury and really found his form around that Chiefs game when he had a strip sack of Patrick Mahomes on the first defensive drive of the game. Titans defense was outstanding against Kansas City. They were outstanding the next week against Indianapolis, and they were even better the next week against the Rams. I'm convinced Bud Dupree is the key to all of this. Now, David Long Jr. has been out too, and he's been a big part of it. But I am convinced that the numbers are not lying here with Bud Dupree, that is literally everybody around Dupree is better when he's out on the football field. And I think the Steelers' record with him and without him last year is a key that, hey, they got to find a way to get Bud Dupree back eventually, and that he may be just that important to this defense.
Well, one thing we learned, in the Rams game and also the Colts game, that the Titans, for the most part, put a ton of pressure on the quarterbacks and forced a huge turnover. So we'll see, how Shane Bowen is going to go after Trevor Lawrence, because for a while it was just letting the 4 rushers do their jobs, but he hasn't been afraid to blitz. He brought in, Byard. He's blitzed Byard. I'm sure he'll blitz one of his corners.
But if you blitz Byard can't intercept the football.
You're right, but I'm talking about 2 different things. But
sure.
They can get turnovers from more guys than Byard, but that's the way it's been so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the stats kind of lie. Everybody thinks, if you're a good pass rusher, you got to have 15, 16 sacks. No. Bud Dupree is creating a lot of pressure. And when you're creating a lot of pressure, you may not have the number of sacks, but you're still making the quarterback uncomfortable in the pocket. And we kind of saw that when he played the games that he played, the quarterbacks were so uncomfortable that they were throwing interceptions. So I agree with you, Jared. Even though he kind of struggled at the beginning of the season, but having him in the lineup makes everybody better.
And the thing that's crazy is I'm not a huge believer, like when a guy trades for somebody, the fans get all worked up. And think about what adding Julio Jones is going to do for Anthony Ferguson. And it's like, But I will say that with the Steelers last year, T.J. Watt was, Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
Or up for it. He lost it to Aaron Donald. But T.J. Watt, until Bud Dupree got hurt, was the Defensive Player of the Year. Stephon Tuitt and Cam Hayward, everybody was great on the defensive line for the Steelers. They were unstoppable. I mean, they came in here and the Titans couldn't block them.
Right.
Dupree gets hurt. Steelers go 1-5. Dupree gets up to speed, with his knee. And all we're doing is talking about Simmons is so good, and Autry is so good, and Landry is so good. And it feels like those 3 guys have not been the same since Bud's exited the lineup. And I take value out of that for Bud Dupree.
But you know why? It's because with Bud Dupree, with all the havoc that he makes on the defensive line, he's going to get double. So now those other guys free up to go Imano. So now their ability really can take over, the guy that they're going against. But when he's taken away, now what's the guys that's going to get double? Simmons is going to get double. Archie's going to get double. So their play is going to go down because they were doubling somebody else.
See, I would contend that Autry and Simmons were unstoppable with the games they were playing up front with their twists and stunts. Somebody occupying 2 blockers. And believe me, they made it a lot easier for the guys behind them, and that included Dupree. And that did continue for a while, but some teams have adjusted.
Yep.
So I would maintain they had some decent games against the first 2 teams they played when Dupree went down. And, yeah, their productivity has dipped a little bit in the last few games.
Yeah,
I felt like they didn't get any pressure against the Patriots. Now, I think they were focused on stopping the run that game, and they wanted to put the ball in Mac Jones' hands. But even in obvious passing situations, it looked like last year's pass rush against New England. And that bothered me because you needed to make the kid a little uncomfortable, and they couldn't do it last week.
They just look like a tired defense. That's just my opinion. I mean, just look at, sometimes when the running back was running the football and the receivers were catching the passes and running after the catch, there was no 8 and 9 hats to the ball. I mean, before, in the beginning of the season, you saw 7 and 8 hats to the ball. But when you're a tired defense, you're not going to flow and run to the ball because, I don't know, if you're just mentally tired. I don't know.
I think you're going to see, maybe a little bit of what we saw with Mac Jones, and that was 3-step drops and getting the ball out, which a lot of times neutralizes the rush. And it'll be interesting to see how that chess game happens with Josh McDaniel, against the Titans.
Jackrabbit Jenkins, David Long Jr., and Tier Tart are out today for the Titans. So what do we think at corner? Elijah Molden had a hip injury, but he returned to practice. What do we think at corner for the Titans without Jackrabbit? Now, I will say this. Jackrabbit has kind of sucked. So
At the beginning he has, but he's gotten
Oh,
better.
he was terrible in the Patriot game. That tackling attempt on that Kendrick Bourne touchdown was embarrassing.
It's been more turtle than jackrabbit.
I mean, he is.
But you better believe. You just imagine when we, okay, I'm gonna kind of break it down to you. When we played against the Cincinnati Bengals, we looked at their cornerbacks and we were salivating because we knew that we were gonna have some big plays against them. Do you think the Jacksonville Jaguars are feeling the same way? Okay, Fulton is solid, we understand, but Jackrabbit's out. You don't think that Lawrence and those guys and Chenault and Marvin Jones Jr. are going to try to attack that secondary as opposed to trying to run the football? It's going to be real interesting.
I just don't think Lawrence right now is in a place where he can get him the ball. Lawrence is not, and I'm not putting this on Lawrence because I think with young quarterbacks, it's so hard to tell, if it's the young quarterback's fault or if it's the situation he's put in. I'll put it to you like this. If Bill Belichick was on the clock at 15 and he got to pick between Trevor Lawrence or Mac Jones, he would have taken Trevor Lawrence. And I bet Trevor Lawrence would be doing pretty well in New England right now. But Lawrence is not pushing the ball down the field. And some of it may be their offensive line. Some of it may be their lack of good coaching, which wouldn't surprise me. I think we have our thoughts on the Jacksonville coaching staff. But I'm with you. Those guys are good players. Marvin Jones Jr. has been a good player in Detroit in his career, and Laviska Shenault is a good player. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know if Lawrence can do what you're talking about throwing the football right now.
Well, as far as the secondary is concerned, I think that's dictated by the pass rush. How much pressure they can put on Lawrence. I think Shane Bowen, has sort of done a good job of camouflaging the weakness in his secondary by his pressure packages and the ability for his D-line to get to the quarterback. That makes you a lot smarter as a coordinator, and that way you've got 7 guys behind him, defending the pass, and we'll see how that works today.
And I think it also depends on the read of the quarterback or what the defense gives you. Just say if they go cover zero is man-to-man across the board, no safeties. So now if I'm saying that as a quarterback, that's an easy read. I just step back 1, 2, 3. Throw it to Chenault, throw it to Marvin Jones, and throw it to those other receivers because, at the end of the day, with all the cornerbacks that are out for the Tennessee Titans, that might be your read to get them big explosive plays.
Do we think they should be able to get pressure on Jacksonville?
They have to.
But, have to and going to are two totally different things.
I think they can. Just like if you look at their offensive line is struggling. And they're giving up a lot of sacks. And, they're one of the worst in the league. So with Simmons and Autry and Landry and all those guys that are really, really fast and get to the quarterback, they definitely should have a field day of getting after Lawrence.
I just think that they'll be fine today. I think the defensive line will play well, especially with a week of rest. And I think the defense, has a chance to get some takeaways today.
So nobody knows what the timetable on David Long Jr.'s injury is, but they haven't put him on IR, which I think is probably a pretty good sign. But Rashaan Evans returns to the lineup today. It'll be Evans and Jayon Brown. Zach Cunningham claimed off waivers. This kind of feels like the last chance for Evans and Brown, in my opinion, because quite frankly, I'm putting the other 2 guys in the game over both of them. And I tell you, Jayon Brown, you guys can have Jayon Brown. Evans, run stopping. What do we think of the middle linebackers?
I disagree. I like Jayon Brown when he's healthy, and that's a big if. I'm not a huge fan of Rashaan Evans. I don't think he's a very good player. I've said it before. He runs to the wrong gaps a lot of times in terms of the running game. I think Zach Cunningham, if his head is right, has a chance to come in here and play meaningful snaps. I think Vrabel, with his injured players, I think, he's not going to say this, but I think they're aiming at the Pittsburgh game, and they feel like if they go into Pittsburgh healthy, they should be fine. They should be able to beat Jacksonville. Not that he's looking past that, but I think internally there are some thoughts in terms of how he's bringing along a lot of those injured starters.
I just think with Evans and Brown, you just see splash plays. You just see, a play here and there. But if you look at on film, they're consistently getting beat. You bring Cunningham in, he's more an instinctive player.
He's much better than those guys, I think.
And he might not be the fastest.
He's
the biggest,
a tackling machine.
Absolutely.
He's a 2-down linebacker, but he's a really good one.
That's because he's an instinctive player. Yeah. He reacts and he looks at what's going on. When you got Evans and Brown, they're kind of like, okay, we're just going to show wherever the ball's at, and that kind of makes the difference.
Your former broadcast partner, the late Floyd Reese, used to say he likes, especially at a position, to have different kinds of guys. The Titans linebackers, for the most part, are undersized and that's not the case with Cunningham, who brings, a pretty impressive skill set with him. But again, what happened at Houston, there were tardiness issues, and we know if there's one thing that makes a coach absolutely nuts, we know one thing that'll put a player in the doghouse is to be late, for a meeting, for practice, whatever.
I know Chris was late often, and he was
no.
often.
I had Les Steckerboy. He was in the Army. He would get me.
So, never late for a meeting?
No. I don't think so. I mean, I was scared, man.
No, I'll say it. Chris is beyond prompt, which I appreciate in general.
I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Vince Lombardi used to, Vince Lombardi time was being there 15 minutes early for a meeting.
Absolutely.
Coming up next, we'll take a look at the inactives for the Titans and the Jags, plus Mike Vrabel's keys to the game. We'll also hear from TD and much, much more. It's the pregame show live from Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville. It's ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
274 yards, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. You're not going to win a game that way.
The voice of the fan.
I'm tired of let's just give it to a quarterback.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's the end of the year blowout sale at Social Furniture. Closing out on Ashley's Furniture with up to 70% off. First come, first served on the best selection of furniture. Social Furniture has truckloads after truckloads of furniture with 100 loads of closeouts, samples, canceled orders, and discounted orders of Ashley Furniture. All on sale here at Social Furniture. $300 nightstands now $99. $1,000 Ashley mattress now $300. $200 bar stools now for $59. $1,000 sofas now $499. And recliners starting at $299. The best part is there's no waiting. Take your new furniture home today with Social Furniture's same-day delivery. They have 12 months same as cash. Hurry up and come down to Social Furniture's end-of-the-year blowout sale before it's gone. Visit Social Furniture on the west side at 5412 Charlotte Avenue or on the web at mysocialfurniture.com.
It's the 12 days of Christmas at Genesis Diamonds with the best gift ever, 5 years, 0 interest financing. That's right. For the first 12 days of December, you get the unbeatable Genesis value price, plus 0 interest financing for 5 years with nothing down. So you can splurge on a new diamond. Why not upgrade her from a 1 carat to a 2 carat? With this offer, you can get a $12,000 designer engagement ring for just $200 a month. All Genesis GIA certified diamonds are included. So if you're celebrating a lifetime of love, or just starting out, you can get the ring of her dreams and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Diamond earrings, diamond pendants, diamond bands, and bracelets are also included. But you need to shop early. This finance offer is going on now through December 12th only at Genesis Diamonds. Merry Christmas from Genesis Diamonds. Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
The Bode is one of Nashville's hottest new hotels right in the heart of Nashville and is home to Sidebar, their in-house cocktail bar. A perfect spot to go before heading to a show or as a nightcap before exploring the city. Stop by the Bode Hotel or Sidebar from now until Friday, December 17th to enter to win tickets to the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Dierks Bentley, a 2-night stay in the Bode Hotel, gift cards to Sidebar, and more. Don't miss out on a chance to win these awesome prizes and stop by the Bode at 401 2nd Avenue South in Sobro.
This is NFL Pregame.
Time now to take a look at the inactives of the pregame show live from Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville. The inactives and Mike Vrabel's keys to the game are brought to you by Hillside Medical Clinic every week on the program. Out today for the Tennessee Titans. A very interesting list. Janoris Jenkins is out today for the Titans at corner. So is David Long Jr. Tier Tart, Zach Cunningham, and Des Fitzpatrick are inactive, as well as Kari Blasingame and Dylan Radins. What was the what for?
No, the receiver, Fitzpatrick.
Well, he's not very good, and Julio Jones is back.
Yeah, but, I mean, at least he caught a couple of passes. I know he ran some bad routes, but, dang, I mean, who else do you have?
So they're going to have Julio Jones.
Right. Westbrook.
Nick Westbrook-Akina.
Okay.
Chester Rogers. Cody Hollister.
Okay, yeah, okay. There you go.
And I'm sure there's somebody I'm forgetting.
No, I think you're good.
You're good, yeah.
They're going into the game with 4 wide receivers? They need to get a fifth one. Just not Des Fitzpatrick. He's terrible. But here's the thing that gets me. Dylan Radin's inactive once again.
Yeah.
Weren't you excited when they drafted him?
Oh, yeah, we're sitting right here, and I just loved it. I just loved the fact that they picked this tackle I'd never heard of.
Dude, that was so
TD and I
funny.
got into it this week because I think the Radin's pick, I think he's a bust. And I think the Titans know it. And, you know, TD wants to give Radin's a little bit more time before declaring the pick a bust or whatever. I think he's a bust.
I disagree. I think way too soon.
He's a second-round pick, and he can't get
You
active
got to
on
give
game
him
day.
time, man. Give him a little time, man.
In the NFL, you get 4 years on a rookie contract, right?
How many years he's been here?
So now you're cutting that down to 3 years. You don't take guys in the second round to have for 3 years.
I think they knew that he was going to be a project. You look at their history. Nate Davis, was a mess till late in his rookie year.
Nate Davis started like the third game of the season. He missed all of training camp with an injury.
Terrible, though.
Right, but he missed all of training camp with an injury, missed like the first 3 games, and then played every game, and they lived with his mistakes. With Radins, they're not living with his mistakes because his mistakes are so bad, or they just don't see any chance of him getting better. They started OTAs with Kendall Lamb, who also is not very good, Kendall Lamb alternating reps at the starting right tackle with Dylan Radins. Then at the beginning of training camp, they moved Radins into guard. Now they won't play him at all. Now he's inactive. They're playing Bobby Hart off the practice squad before they play this guy. They're getting guys off other teams' rosters. They're getting guys off the streets and putting them in the game before they're putting this guy in the game. You do not draft in the second round a guy that you're going to bring somebody off the street and play over. You do not do that in the NFL. If you take a project, a guy, hey, it's going to take us some time for this guy, you draft him in like the 6th round. You don't draft him in the 2nd round.
Well, he played 1 game his last year, and I think when they brought him in, they looked at him as a project. Are they disappointed this year? Absolutely. But let's see what happens his second year. That's all I'm saying.
You just brought back my memory. I think I'm agree with you, Jared. Yeah. I mean, I was I agree with you 100%.
And I think it's hard for you to put yourself in those shoes because you were on the NFL all-rookie team. So it was like the exact opposite of what he was going through right now. Like, he can't get on the field. You're on the all-rookie team.
I just think that if he's a 6th-round draft pick, I can understand. But when you're a 2nd-round draft pick, I just think that they're expecting you to play. I just think that that's why it's more disappointing because now if he went in between the 4th and the 6th round, I can understand, okay, he's got to develop. But when you're drafting in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round, those are impact players that you expect to come in and play. So I just think that with him not coming in and playing right away and struggling, I just think that that's why it's so glaring that, he's struggling.
Listen, after they whiffed on their 1st round pick.
The tackle position has not been pretty the last 2 years.
And, Caleb Farley, are we ever going to see him again? But, Radins, I think they expected to be playing. Not dressing today.
I would have no problem at the end of the year if the Titans went to Mike Munchak with a blank check and said, how much money did we pay you as head coach? We'll pay you that to be offensive line coach again. Because
he's good.
Floyd used to tell me that he used Munchak. He leaned on Munchak a lot when it came to drafting offensive linemen. And obviously they got a problem drafting offensive linemen right now because they can't do it.
But who's responsible for making those picks? Is it J-Rob or Mike Vrabel?
Well, it's ultimately J-Rob.
Okay.
That's on him. But he's got to get that figured out. For the Jags, inactive today, corner Trey Herndon, offensive lineman Brandon Linder, who's actually a pretty good player and has a back injury. Tight end Jacob Hollister. So Cody Hollister's brother will not play against Cody. Defensive end Jordan Smith and defensive tackle Jay Trufel.
Who's that?
I have no idea. Time now for Mike Vrabel's Key to the Game, presented by Hillside Medical Clinic. Stop turning the ball over.
We need to take care of the ball. We need to, be productive when we throw it. We take care of the quarterback, run good routes. As far as chances, we have to throw it on Sunday. We have to be very conscious that the decisions that we make with whoever has the football are making good ones. And Sometimes when we turn it over, it's the person that's holding the ball, and then sometimes there's other people that help contribute to that. So hopefully we can all focus on doing our job to take care of the football or the person that has it. I think that was the critical. That's going to be a huge key, whether we're blocking for somebody, or whether we're finishing, or somebody's coming in from the backside. It's a backside block that maybe 9 times out of 10 wouldn't have much impact on the play. All of a sudden has some impact on the play, and the ball comes out. So trying to show those guys those examples. Only one person can carry it or throw it at a time. So hopefully the other 10 can do their part in taking care of the football as well.
Chris, do you think the message will get through this week?
I think it will. I mean, because he keeps saying it over and over. Turnover to football will kill you. And I'm not trying to bring up old past wounds, but the year 2000 when we were 13-3, we had the best record in football. We had home field advantage. We run into Baltimore. We had 479 yards. They had 76 yards. But what was the key factor? It was turnovers. A pick six by what was the linebacker's name?
Ray Lewis. A pick six by him and missed field goals. You just can't do that. So now he's gonna say that all through the locker room. If we just do our job and protect the football, don't fumble it, don't throw interceptions, and make the plays. I mean, the Tennessee Titans should blow these guys out. But if you mess up and fumble and throw interceptions, you're going to keep this team in the game.
Yeah, you look at what the Titans, what has really crippled the Titans. And, again, we go back to turnovers. Randy Bullock's got to get better. It's the little things with this team that I think has really come back to bite them. You look at Jacksonville on defense. Josh Allen is their best pass rusher with 5.5 sacks. They got to keep him off of Tannehill, and I think the offense will have a good day.
Go ahead.
No, he said something that's so profound. He said we got to do the little things, and you alluded this to me before we started the show. You said, look at the way that Foreman was carrying the ball. I mean, even though the average fan is like, oh, he's just carrying the ball, but the reason why he fumbled is because he didn't secure the ball. So little things like that and protecting the football and not throwing interceptions, you will take the life out of this Jacksonville Jaguars team.
5 points of pressure?
Yeah, 5 points, yeah.
Coming up next on the program, TD is live at Nissan Stadium. How has Julio Jones looked in warm-ups? What does TD make of that? We'll get to that coming up next, live from Boombox Craft Pizza and Tap House. It's the pregame show on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Closer, bolder, golden. Nashville SC Stadium is arriving in 2022, and season tickets are on sale now. With just 150 feet between the pitch and the last row, you'll be right there in the action no matter where you sit. If you thought soccer in Nashville was a party already, you ain't seen nothing yet. So come on in, grab a seat, and stay a while as we open a new era of Nashville sports. For more information on season tickets at the new Nashville SC Stadium, visit nashvillesc.com/22 ticks.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Their service and parts team will get your work site up and running in no time. Parman Tractor and Equipment will come to you for service if needed. Visit ParmanTractor.com for more info. Your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. Merry Christmas from the Parman family to yours.
Do you really want to go through another year with that awful joint pain? Well, don't do it. Resolve right now to get yourself moving again for 2022. Willie Donick here. It's time to call the folks at QC Kinetics. Non-surgical regenerative treatments for joint pain. We're talking lasting results using natural biologics. No surgery, no pain meds, no steroids, and no downtime. This is really exciting stuff. Regenerative, restorative treatments that actually encourage your body to heal itself using highly concentrated natural biologics. Patients rave about it for hip pain relief, knee pain relief, shoulder and back pain relief. Don't let them give you the steroids. Don't let them tell you your surgery is the only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics and do it now. And imagine life in 2022 without pain. Call the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics. 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024 for QC Kinetics.
When it's more than just your lawn, it deserves the Kubota Z400. Get a head-turning offer on class-leading speed, agility, simple deck height adjustments, and a quality cut. When you need comfort and performance, then you need the professional-grade Kubota Z400. Right now, get the Kubota Z400 mower for 0 down, 0.99% APR for 36 months, plus no payments until April 1st, 2022. Now through December 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Come see why Coleman Tractor Company is one of the largest Kubota dealers in Middle Tennessee, with 4 locations to serve you in Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and their new location in White House.
It's game day for the Two-Tone Blue. And we're inching closer to kickoff. This is the NFL Pregame with Jared Stillman, forever receiver Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Now, let's get an update from the stadium with ESPN's Teron Davenport, brought to you by Freedom Tire Guys on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is nice and warm here at Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville. I'm guessing it's a little bit cooler at Nissan Stadium. That's where we find Teron Davenport. TD's appearances on the pregame show brought to you by Freedom Tire Guys, Nashville's premier mobile tire company, online at freedomtireguys.com. TD, you have to know I'm going to ask, how does Julio Jones look so far warming up on the field today? It's a chilly with that hamstring. You saw him during the week.
Morning.
What do you think of Julio so far today?
Well, I mean, he looked fine running routes. You saw him able to cut and plant and accelerate, decelerate. I don't think there's any issues with the hamstring as of now, but you know how that could go. It could creep up on you at any moment, but it doesn't look like he has any concerns about it. And that kind of jives with just basically how the week went, the lead up to the week. You know, Wednesday he was striding. Thursday he really started to dig in and run routes, you know, with a little more authority and momentum and speed, and I think he's good to go now.
TD, how do you expect them to use him today? Can we see him on a pitch count? Can we see him, you know, featured as wide receiver one? What do you think they would use with Julio today?
I think it's going to be about 25 to 30 snaps. I think they're definitely going to have him on a pitch count. I mean, that's what they've done in the past, and it'll continue to happen, even though, like I said, they believe the hamstring is a full go. But I would say, like I said, 25 to 30 snaps.
We're speaking to Teron Davenport, of course, who covers the Titans for ESPN. And TD, the Titans had 2 100-yard rushers against New England and didn't win, which is, you know, to me, totally bizarre. But how much confidence do you think they got, and how Todd Downing and Mike Vrabel now feel about their running game going into Jacksonville?
Yeah, I think they feel really good about it. But, you know, that Patriots game, the turnovers definitely didn't help. But when you look at what Todd Downing said earlier this week about not jerking the wheel, I mean, that's something that they want to run the football. That's the foundation of the offense. And I think they feel good about it. I mean, you look at Dontrell Hilliard, he's actually, you know, well-suited for that zone scheme. And then, you know, when they want to run power and those type of things, Foreman is good for that. And they got McNichols back, too. So I would say they're very confident in the rushing attack. I just think Todd Downing has to get away from that being so predictable on first down running the football.
What about how Downing manages Tannehill today in terms of getting him going early and building his confidence?
Well, I think the best way to do that is quick and easy passing plays, right? You know, bunch, get the guys quick separation, short slants and those type of things, throw some now routes, you know, just to get them in a rhythm. I wouldn't be surprised if he has one of those stretches where it's like, you know, 10 straight completions. So I think that's going to be something that they try to do for him. You know what I mean?
TD, a.k.a. Sam Cassell. Hey, the secondary has been struggling a little bit. Like Jack Rabbit Jenkins is kind of out. What do they need to do to stop Shenault Jr. and Marvin Jones to not give up the explosive plays?
Yeah, well, you know what? It's funny that you came on right when you did, because this guy came up to me, and he said, you know that dude that you do the show with? He kind of looks like Mookie Blaylock. No, I think what they have to do, and Kevin Byers said it best, is making sure that the rush and the coverage is coordinated. I think that's really the first thing you have to do. And you have to have that rush coordinated, too, because when you look at Trevor Lawrence, I mean, that guy can get out of the pocket and make some things happen. So they have to make sure that they're disciplined in the passing lane, don't allow the guys to turn up field, and And Marvin Jones, even though he's not the fastest guy, he remains a player that could, threaten on the deep passing game. So they have to make sure that, Kevin Byard and the safeties stay deep into the deep. And I think that's really the best way to do it. Have the guys up front get after the quarterback.
I'm glad you brought up Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence kind of struggled a little bit. He's thrown for over 2,500 yards, but also he's thrown 10 interceptions. What can the D-line do to make Trevor Lawrence to feel uneasy in the pocket?
I think the main thing is collapsing the pocket from the interior. That's the biggest thing that they have to do. And if they could do that, and then along with the coverage, like this is a week where I would try to disguise, like give them one pitcher pre-snap and another one post-snap. Whether you go too deep and at the snap you drop one of the guys down in the box and rotate to, a center fielder, a single high type of look, or vice versa. Those are the things that I would do to marry with that interior pressure, make him get rid of the ball quickly, and you could even have one of the safeties, go too deep, have one of the safeties drop down, give kind of like that robber look to kind of come right into that passing lane, expecting him to pass the ball quickly. But that all will have to go right in line with the guys up front. This is a week where Jeffrey Simmons really has to earn his money, and get that interior rush. And then even when they do the stunt to loop Landry inside or Autry or whoever that may be, that could also get pressure that way.
TD's with us at the stadium, presented by Freedom Tire Guys. TD, Jackrabbit Jenkins out today for the Titans. How would you expect them to line up in the secondary? And Dane Cruikshank makes his return from IR.
Yeah, with Cruikshank coming back, I think you'll see more dime looks. They're able to do that because he tackles so well and he plays dime backer so well. As far as I would imagine that Fulton will remain at right corner, and they'll have a rotation, whether it be Maben and Borders, that type of look at left corner. I would expect Maben mostly to get the reps, honestly. But there's no telling. I saw Buster Screen get some reps in the nickel, so that's another look that they could do. But left corner is going to be an interesting situation.
Yeah. What about Randy Bullock? He's had the yips the past few weeks. How concerned are they about him going into today?
Yeah, I don't think there's any concern. He's actually kicking right now. Looks like a 40-yard attempt, and it is good. So, I don't think they have any concern about him. The conditions are perfect for kicking also. Like, there's no wind. It's just a nice, crisp day. So, he's working on both hashes right now. So, I don't think there's any concern, honestly.
Are you concerned about – I'm going to switch to the offensive line. The offensive line is going up against some dogs. You got Josh Allen, you got Smoot, and you got Miles Jack as a linebacker. What do the offensive line need to do to keep Tannehill from getting hit and throwing interceptions?
Yeah, I think the main thing is make sure that they're able to handle the stunts that Jacksonville presents. They like to have the two interior guys, like, crash down and make the center come with the one interior guy and loop Josh Allen around the inside. So that's something that they like to do. But I think really what it's all about is just when he just comes off the edge, you got to make sure that you just ride him out and give Tannehill, space to step up in the pocket if need be. So it's just maintaining your lanes and doing what you got to do. I think the offensive line has actually played a lot better than they had earlier in the year. So that's not really a concern that I would have, honestly.
TD, from the stadium, as always, appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, for sure. You guys take it easy. And, hey, you know what? Someone else just said you look like Tyrone Hill.
I really look like Tyrone Hill and Sam Cassell.
There you go, Chris. TD live from the stadium, presented by Freedom Tire Guys. Chris, that's what happens when you start it like that.
He's my guy, man. We do a little segment on the radio and we crack jokes. That's my dude, man.
What do you make of? We were talking to TD there about the corner position, and we're like, okay, so Jack Rabbit's out. Who's going to be in? I guess Greg Maben, maybe Buster Screen. I guess this guy. This is the NFL. People have to play corner, right?
Absolutely.
How concerned should we be about? Even though people can't stand Jack Rabbit, and I take all the phone calls of everybody that doesn't seem to like him, I mean, at some point they're going to have to get somebody to go out there and stop it.
I'm very concerned. I mean, because say if what he kind of talked about, you bring that safety down, you go man outside. You don't think that Lawrence is going to see, okay, my read is maybe to the left, but I see they're playing cornerback with Maven, and you have Chenault Jr. out there. You don't think he's going to go 1, 2, 3, just go run a deep route and catch the ball?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that I'm kind of concerned about. I mean, I know they can cover guys in zone and cover 2, cover 3, but when you go man-to-man, can that left corner cover one of their wide receivers?
Yeah, when I hear Buster Screen, I think Buster Coverage. and that's something to be worried about today.
Oh, my goodness.
So again, if the pass rush is effective, it makes those guys at the third level pretty, or at least much better.
Are any of us concerned that the first game with Jacksonville was actually a ball game late into the third quarter, early fourth, and then the Titans blew it open, thanks in large part to a bad call from the officials, and then Tier Tart made a great play on fourth down. Tier Tart is inactive today for the Titans. Is there any concern that, hey, the Titans already played the Jags pretty close? Because I'll tell you what, I'm worried about today's game. I mean, I probably think the Titans are going to win, but I'm worried in general just about how the Titans play teams like this.
I just think that the situation here is favorable to the Titans. They're coming off 2 losses. They're not feeling, great about themselves as they seem to be in some of those other games. So I just see them playing well today. I think they're going to win. And, again, I think they're going to win fairly convincingly.
I just think that it's going to start with, I know you guys hate this, but let's talk about the coin toss.
Oh, jeez.
and I know I'm being funny and everything, but I just think that the Tennessee Titans need to come out with momentum. I mean, please don't get the ball first and all of a sudden you have a 3-and-out. Then all of a sudden Trevor Lawrence takes their team on a 70-yard, 12-play drive. Then all of a sudden you get the ball back again. The Tennessee Titans get the ball back again. You have another 3-and-out. Then they score again. Who has momentum? Who has the confidence? The Tennessee Titans need to come out with momentum, play with confidence, and play fast like they did the first couple of games.
Yeah, but momentum ebbs and flows.
Yeah,
momentum
true.
can towards the end of the first half. If the Titans are playing well and they score, near the end of the first half, and they're receiving to start the second half, that gives them a chance to sustain that momentum, and we've seen that countless times.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that I agree with you 100%. I just think that when you have a struggling offense, you just need to get a little confidence early. But I agree with you. I mean, it could be better, if you get the ball in the second half. But if you start slow and you're down 21-0, that ain't gonna mean nothing.
I just think that the Titans, to Chris's point, when they played the Texans, they turned the ball over early, and that gave the Texans life. I think if you get momentum on a team like Jacksonville today, they're going to quit.
Done.
I would agree with you, Mark, that the idea of winning the coin toss and going down the field and scoring and being up 7-0, I mean, it's nice, but it doesn't really, it's like scoring a run in the first inning. The other team still has 9 at-bats to get a chance to take the lead and win the game. But with a team like Jacksonville playing in the cold, and they're from Florida, and they stink, and it's December, and they know they don't belong on the field with the Titans, you get down early, and they hate their coach, you get down early, usually those kind of teams pack it in.
I would agree with that.
I agree with you, too, but both of these teams don't like each other. Jacksonville doesn't like us. Titans don't like the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, we got to jump on them quickly to make them jokers quit, man.
I mean, do the Jags players really not like the Titans?
It just sounded good.
I mean, you said you said on my show the other day, you were talking about, you were like, this goes back to 1999. I was like, Chris,
Fred Taylor's not walking through that door. Tony Baselli's not walking through that door.
Like it goes back to 99 for you.
For me, okay.
Early 90s, early 2000s, there was definitely hate between them.
Coming up next, we'll make our picks to click. We'll do that. Plus, we'll take a look at the sports books and our game day predictions and more. Live from Boombox Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville. It's the pregame show on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Coming up next hour on NFL Pregame, Jared, Chris, and Mark make their picks to click and final predictions for the upcoming game. We're inching closer to kickoff, and you're listening to NFL Pregame on Nashville's best sports talk,
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. The NFL is nearing the playoffs, and Week 14 gives us a big divisional rematch between the Browns and the Ravens, and FanDuel Sportsbook wants to make it even bigger because they're giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. That means $150 on a $5 bet. I think I feel pretty safe right now with the Ravens, considering that the Browns, quite frankly, don't look very good. FanDuel is sports betting made simple, and they're always hooking you up with great offers. It's America's #1 rated sportsbook app. It's easy to use, and it's safe and secure. And when you win, you'll get paid in as little as 2 hours. FanDuel is hooking up all customers with $50 when you refer a friend, plus your friend will get $50 too. See for yourself why FanDuel is my official sportsbook app. Just sign up with the promo code JGM before Sunday afternoon's matchup, and you can win $150 on a $5 bet. Again, that's promo code JGM. 21 and older in present Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in a designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
It's the end of the year blowout sale at Social Furniture. Closing out on Ashley's Furniture with up to 70% off. First come, first served on the best selection of furniture. Social Furniture has truckloads after truckloads of furniture with 100 loads of closeouts, samples, canceled orders, and discounted orders of Ashley Furniture. All on sale here at Social Furniture. $300 nightstands now $99. $1,000 Ashley mattress now $300. $200 bar stools now for $59. $1,000 sofas now $499, and recliners starting at $299. The best part is there's no waiting. Take your new furniture home today with Social Furniture's same-day delivery. They have 12 months same as cash. Hurry up and come down to Social Furniture's end-of-the-year blowout sale before it's gone. Visit Social Furniture on the west side at 5412 Charlotte Avenue or on the web at mysocialfurniture.com.
312 Pizza Company is home to Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
Hi, this is Ben Talbot, local owner of Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. We have a lot to be grateful for this year, and I want to say thank you to our customers in Nashville and throughout Middle Tennessee. I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday season from Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. This is NFL Pregame, and it's time for Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard to make their picks to click. Brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
About an hour to kickoff between the Titans and the Jags. We're live at Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville by the stadium. It is time now for our picks to click, presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Chris, why you got such a big smile?
You already know where I'm going.
The hell?
No.
Close. Really?
No, close.
Chris Sanders, lead us off. Who's your pick to click?
I'm going with Julio Jones.
Oh!
I'm going with Julio Jones. The reason why I'm going with Julio Jones is because he has a chance to be big this year. I mean, not this year, this game. I know he's been out a lot this year. This is where he can become, I mean, he's already a big elite receiver, but he can set the tone by making some big plays this game. So I'm going with Julio Jones.
Even though TD says he's only going to play about 20 snaps or so.
But they can be impact plays. I mean, who else do you have on the receiving core that is explosive as him? Nobody. So he's got to make some plays. It can be a quick slant or a screen or something to where he needs to make a big play. And when I say a big play, it doesn't have to always be like a 90-yard touchdown, but a 20-yard catch here, a 15-yard catch there. They're at the 10-yard line. He catches the fade. So something like that, he can make a play in that situation.
I'm going to go with Ryan Tannehill. I think he's going to play well today. Let's face it, he has struggled mightily the last few weeks. So I think he comes out of it today.
I think that those are the easy ones,
yeah,
especially Tannehill. I'm going to go with Dontrell Hilliard. Because in 2 games as a Titan running back, Dontrell Hilliard has shown some game. Now, he has fumbled the football twice. And to me, I don't care if Dontrell Hilliard runs for 150 yards this week. If he fumbles the football, then I know I can't trust him. I can't put him in games. If Dontrell Hilliard goes out and runs the football effectively like he has through the first 2 weeks and doesn't put the football on the ground, maybe the Titans have found a better third down back than Jeremy McNichols to give the football to, because Hilliard does give them a little something in the passing game too. I like Foreman, but clearly Foreman does not take care of the football to the way that he probably should. So I think it's pretty simple to me. I'm going to go with Dontrell Hilliard running the football today as my pick to click.
I think it's a great pick. I mean, look at what he did against the Patriots, that 68-yard touchdown. I mean, he's one of those guys that are explosive. He can catch the ball out the field. He can catch those screens to make a big play downfield.
Listen, for a street free agent, pretty impressive. Absolutely. I mean, he's been a revelation. And, I agree with Jared. I was going to go with Hilliard, but then I thought, Tannehill, I still think, could be the man today. He's going to be throwing to his backs. I think they've demonstrated that he's not afraid to throw to Hilliard. He's not afraid to throw to Foreman. I think that's going to be a big part of the game plan.
Time now for the defensive picks to click. Chris Sanders, who do you go with today?
Do not laugh at me on this either. I'm going with Maben. And the reason why
why?
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Is because he's going to be the left corner, and they are going to go after him. If I'm an offensive coordinator and I see a guy that's not your starter, I'm going after him. And it all depends on what Shane Bourne is going to protect him, have a safety over top. But if they go man-to-man and I have Marvin Jones Jr. out there, I'm going after him. So he's got to have a big day. I'm not saying a big day is four picks. Maybe get an interception, maybe a scoop and score, or batting balls down. That's a big day for this Tennessee Titans secondary.
Again, I'm going to go with the low-hanging fruit with Jeffrey Simmons, because I think if he has a big game, everything will follow. I think that interior rush discombobulates a quarterback, especially a rookie quarterback, more than anything else, and he's got the ability to do it. And, again, if he plays big today, I think the other guys behind him will follow suit.
What happened to Simmons? Have you guys noticed that Simmons has kind of gone MIA lately?
Double team.
Good players get doubled.
Yeah, but some are better on the double team and some are not. He's getting doubled.
So what used to happen was when there'd be guys like this that wouldn't make plays, fans would feel like they could argue with me and that, I'm wrong, I'm right, whatever. But then every now and then Floyd would come to my defense, and we would talk about Clowney because the fans would be like, Clowney gets doubled on every play, and that's why Clowney doesn't get to the quarterback. And finally, Floyd goes, good players get doubled. You don't think they're doubling the defensive tackle for the Rams? They double him on every play. And and so I'm like sitting here looking for Simmons. He goes off on Sunday Night Football. What happened to Simmons?
Well, I don't think you can measure Simmons exclusively, on sacks, and tackles for loss. I think sometimes he facilitates
took over
that.
The Rams game.
He did.
And he has taken over nothing since the Rams game. So I'd like to see that. I'm going to go my pick to click. This one's going to be pretty sad. I'm going to go Kevin Byard because I don't know how many guys on the Titans defense right now can make an impact play that can change the game. Jacksonville is willing to give you plays that you can impact that will change the game. Who out there can take advantage of it? Byard's the one guy who can. He had a scoop and score for a touchdown in the first Jags game. But, we talk about the Titans not turning the ball over, which is fair. They need to not turn the football over. They got to start turning the other team over again, which they've seemed to somewhat lose their way of late.
Yeah, the last two games, they haven't had any turnovers. And that's what really was the recipe for this Tennessee Titans being 8-4 because the defense was playing so well. So I think Byard is the guy to step up and maybe get a scoop and score or an interception or a stop on fourth down because when they had that run of takeaways, he was one of the main guys.
I think Byard's having not just a Pro Bowl year but an All-Pro year. And, again, he's an example of less is more. I thought he tried to do too much last year, and I think the Titans told him, don't do that. Just get back to the way you were playing. And he's been fantastic this year. He's been a game changer. You're right. Not only intercepts passes, plays center field pretty well, and just seems to find a way to be around the football.
Now, that all being said, Chris, your point, no turnovers the last two games.
Yep.
Who has not played the last two games?
What you mean?
Bud Dupree.
Oh, Bud Dupree. That's a good point. Good, but yeah.
So I keep my eye out on the Titans if they can force some turnovers
That's a good point. Absolutely.
Without Bud. So according to the New York Times Playoff Simulator, the Tennessee Titans, by the way, picks to click presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment. The Titans' chances of making the playoffs, according to the New York Times, 97%.
To make the playoffs?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
To win the division or to host Wild Card Week, which would be winning the division, the Titans are 76%. They held a 19% chance, according to the New York Times playoff predictor, of getting the first round bye in the AFC. Now, if they win today, the Titans' percent chance to make the playoffs goes to 99% with a win today, and their likelihood of hosting a wild card would be winning the division 73, and the bye week would be 24. So you're talking about, essentially a 1 in 4 chance of getting the bye week if they were to win. If they lose, it goes from 25% to 5% in terms of getting the bye, and they would have a 92% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I still think they'll be focused today. I don't think they're going to be looking at those numbers, but I definitely think it's set up for the Titans to play well today. There are certain weeks where you could say, yeah, they're catching them at a bad time. Titans, played great last week against a good team, could see them letting down. I just don't see that as a problem. I understand that they are somewhat limited because of injuries, but they've won in spite of them before. I think they'll do it again today.
I just think that you're going to see a more focused team, and I hate to say that because you should be focused in every game, but I think defense, they're going to come out and they're going to just cause havoc against Lawrence. And I think on offense, they're going to score some points because you got Foreman, you got Hilliard, you got Julio Jones that has a potential to make some plays. So overall, I think the Tennessee Titans are going to be all right.
So I think the thing here is if the Titans can't win this game today, then I'm not sure that we should really count on them to do much until Dupree, Long, and Henry get back. Because those are the 3 guys that have missed since the Rams game. They won the Rams game without Henry, but that was really the defense that carried them. Dupree and Long both played great in that game. Since then, one thing I worry about is maybe they're not very good. Like when they beat the Saints, but the Saints really beat themselves, and Jerome Boger helped out too. But the Saints are terrible, and they barely beat the Saints. Then they lost to the Texans, and the Texans are terrible. And then, they were competitive with New England, but they kind of couldn't get out of their own way. I wonder if this team is that dependent upon Derrick Henry. And if you can't beat the Jags and the Texans, then you don't belong in the playoffs.
Well, they ran the ball well for the first time since Henry got hurt last week. So that gives you hope for this week because that makes Tannehill a better quarterback.
I mean, you just look at an inconsistent team. I mean, and let me just kind of rewind, too. Even though I may say that, they're still sitting in a position to win the AFC South and also, be at the top at the end. So I just don't think we should panic and say, the last 2 games they played terrible. Yes, they played terrible, but they're 8-4. So they're still doing something right. I know the offense has been struggling. I know the defense hasn't got, any turnovers, and the special teams has been, terrible. But at the end of the day, you're sitting in position to control your own destiny.
Coming up next, we'll take a look at the sports books and we'll make our game day predictions. We are live. It's the pregame show, live from Boomhouse Craft Pizza and Tap House on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Are you worried about your holiday shopping and your gift arriving in time? The Omni Nashville Hotel has a great idea for you. How about gift cards to their world-renowned Mocara Spa or Nashville's fine dining favorite, Bob's Steak and Chop House? Surprise your loved ones and friends with this special gift idea and take out the hustle and bustle of fighting traffic and long lines this holiday season. Simply go to OmniNashvilleHotel.com to purchase your gift cards. That's OmniNashvilleHotel.com for gift cards to Mocara Spa or Bob's Steak and Chop House.
Treating erectile dysfunction with acoustic wave therapy has been getting a lot of attention lately. But you should know that some are promising results we just haven't seen and charging a lot of money for the treatments as well. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. And if you're looking at acoustic wave therapy or any option to help your ED, you really should call us first. Unlike wave therapy only clinics, the Tennessee Men's Clinic wave therapy protocols do use acoustic wave technology. But we also often combine it with other treatments that can give most of our patients far higher satisfaction rates. There is no surgery nor any type of invasive procedure required. And even better, depending on your treatment strategy and with our urologist and provider's guidance, you can likely have sex the day after your appointment. We even have other treatments that can help you last up to an hour. Plus, for a limited time, we're waiving our normal appointment charge, which includes a PSA and T test, and offering a free ultrasound, altogether nearly a $400 value for free. So make an appointment today. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra results vary.
It's the end of the year blowout sale at Social Furniture. Closing out on Ashley's Furniture with up to 70% off. First come, first served on the best selection of furniture. Social Furniture has truckloads after truckloads of furniture with 100 loads of closeouts, samples, canceled orders, and discounted orders of Ashley Furniture. All on sale here at Social Furniture. $300 nightstands now $99. $1,000 Ashley mattress now $300. $200 bar stools now for $59. $1,000 sofas now $499, and recliners starting at $299. The best part is there's no waiting. Take your new furniture home today with Social Furniture's same-day delivery. They have 12 months same as cash. Hurry up and come down to Social Furniture's end-of-the-year blowout sale before it's gone. Visit Social Furniture on the west side at 5412 Charlotte Avenue or on the web at mysocialfurniture.com.
Over the middle, has a man, touchdown Tennessee, Devontae Pitt.
The Tennessee Volunteers are coming to Nashville on December 30th to face Purdue in the 2021 Music City Bowl. Your official home for the TransPerfect Music City Bowl is
ESPN
102.5 The Game and 93.3 Classic Hits. Brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Music City and Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
What's up, Nashville? This is Stephen A. Smith. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Getting set to take on the Jags at Nissan Stadium, a slew of noon kickoffs. The Ravens take on the Browns. Titans need the Browns to knock off Baltimore, you would hope. Raiders and the Chiefs, if you're a Titan fan, you root for the Raiders to win that game.
No chance.
You think the Raiders have no chance? Kansas City, 9.5-point favorite.
Oh, that ship be sinking.
The Raiders just don't have a coach. They're just out there without a coach. Let's see any other. The Bills and the Buccaneers. Guess it doesn't really matter if the Bills lose, but I'd still vote for the Bills to lose. I'd prefer to see like the Steelers or the Bengals or somebody else in the playoffs instead of the Bills. Bengals and 49ers. You would root for the 49ers in that game. And the night game tomorrow doesn't matter, and the night game tonight does not matter for the Titans. New England Patriots, who currently hold the number 1 seed, are off. However, technically a Titan win would still keep them even with the Patriots.
Because of the tiebreaker, which is the Patriots beating the Titans.
Which the Patriots have, and then you need the Colts to go out and beat the Patriots. The Colts are also off this week as well. Taking a look at the FanDuel Sportsbook for today, we go inside the sportsbooks, which are presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, America's #1 sportsbook app. The Titans and the Jags coming into this, the Titans are 8.5-point favorites, and they are -110 to cover the spread. Jacksonville is -110, so even money basically, in order to cover the spread as the underdog if you take Jacksonville plus the 8.5. Mark Howard, what do we make of that number, 8.5? Too big, too little? What's Vegas trying to tell us?
Well, Vegas is trying to tell you that the Titans are a little bit better, but you would think that you look at the records that the spread should be in double digits. Jacksonville's been a feisty underdog, no doubt. But again, you got to think situation. And I just think the Titans will cover today.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. I mean, you just look at Jacksonville. You just got a team that has so many distractions with their head coach and so many things going on. You have a Tennessee Titans team that, they had 2 losses, but they're going to come in here focused. So I think the Tennessee Titans, that number's really, really good.
Anytime touchdown scorer, would you guys care to guess which player on either team has the best odds to score a touchdown today?
Wow.
I say Hilliard.
Foreman.
Bingo, Mark Howard. Deontay Foreman plus 125. Julio Jones plus 130. James Robinson plus 195. Jeff Swaim.
Come on, Swaim.
Is 4th at plus 200, as is Dontrell Hilliard. Nick Westbrook Akina plus 210.
Be interesting to see how many more carries James Robinson gets after Trevor Lawrence publicly said he needs the ball more. He needs to play more. Carlos Hyde probably didn't like that, but he's telling the truth. They're a much better team when James Robinson is running the football. And the last time against the Titans, he was over 100 yards.
What a lack of respect for the coach, by the way. To have a rookie quarterback go to the podium and say, we need to put this guy in the game. You would never have done that with Jeff Fisher.
But see, I don't think that was being disrespectful. I think the question that was asked, I guess, what do they need to do better? So he said we need to get Robinson the ball more often. He didn't say, well, I disagree with the head coach. I just think that the question that was asked made him have that answer. Okay, that's not good enough, huh?
Come on, Chris. You played in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know how this works.
Yeah, but I think it was the question that was asked.
I think, this is just me, I think it's a total lack of respect for the coach. Mac Jones is not going to the podium and saying, I think Bill should put Stevenson in more over Harris.
But did he say Urban needs to put?
But who's putting him in?
I know, but if he would have said Urban needs to put Robinson in, that's disrespectful. But if they ask him the question, he says, well, Robinson needs to carry the ball more and needs to be in the game.
Most players in the NFL say, that's up to the coach. I'm not the coach. I just think that it is so disrespectful that shows you how little respect they have for Urban Meyer. That's, by the way, this is my favorite. Receiving yards in today's game. Anyone want to guess what the over-under on Julio Jones is? How about this? You guys tell me. How many receiving yards do you think Julio Jones will have today?
I'll say 55.
I say 46.
52.5 is the over-under. So Chris is going under.
Yeah.
Mark is going to go over. The second highest Titan is Jeff Swaim at over-under 14.5. Meanwhile, for them, I didn't even know Laquan Treadwell was still on the Jags, but apparently he is, according to this. Ryan Tannehill passing yards today. What number would you put it at?
Oh, wow. I'll say 235 yards.
I say 179.
179.
Let's go, baby.
222.5.
Oh, man, you gave me – I thought you –
No, I was amazed that you picked such a low number.
I just think they're not going to put it in his hands.
I think you're I think you're probably right. I think there's probably some truth to that. Rushing yards today, the player rushing yards, Ryan Tannehill, 13.5. Meanwhile, Deontay Foreman, 56.5. Dontrell Hilliard, 38.5. I take the over on Hilliard at 38.5. I think they're going to give Hilliard the football. Time now for our game day predictions. Titans and Jags. Who wins today and why? Our final picks are brought to you every week by Social Furniture, located at 5412 Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local, shop social. Chris Sanders, who wins today and why?
I know Chase is going to kill me when I said this because on Silly Dot Underpick, I picked the Jags. But listen to all the stuff that's going on today. I'm going with the Tennessee Titans 31-10, and I'm going to tell you why. It's just so much distractions that's going on with this Jacksonville Jaguar team. You got the head coach, you got Lawrence, you got Robinson, you got some great players. But you can have a great player and have a great team, but if you have distractions, you're not going to win. So I'm going with the Tennessee Titans 31-10 because they're focused, ready, and ready to eat.
You had a very amazed look on your face, Mark Howard, when he gave that final score.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to score that much. Divisional games characteristically are low scoring, especially in the second half of the season. And I think the Titans win today 27-16. I think, once again, the defense is going to have, I think, a big day.
I'm actually with Chris. I picked it on Friday 33-13. Chris 31-10. This is the thing for me with the Titans. I think if you win today against Jacksonville, you just hold serve on the rest of the AFC, and you're still the 2 seed, and you get your AFC win, and you turn your attention to Pittsburgh. If you lose today to Jacksonville, I think it is an obvious sign to everybody that you are not for real this year, and I don't think the Titans are ready to go down that quickly. So I think the Titans are going to take advantage of it. I think they're going to, after their bye week, I think they're going to play well today. I'll go Titans 33-13.
You're right. If they lose, that's going to be a huge issue in the week leading into Pittsburgh. And believe me, this is really going to be the Steelers' last stand, in terms of being a playoff contender and not having the first losing season under Mike Tomlin. So the Steelers will circle the wagons. They will not go away. I mean, We've seen them the last 2 weeks. So, I say that, the Titans absolutely have to win today for a lot of the reasons we stated before.
That's going to do it for us. We're out of here. We will be back next week before the Titans take on the Steelers, 9:30 right here on the pregame show. Stillman & Company comes your way. Full recap tomorrow at 2 o'clock. That's it for us. Titans and Jags, we'll see you.
Take us wherever you may go. There is going to be a whole lot of work going on. Shoot us in anywhere, anytime.
I think he has some big play in him.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on